far into camp right now, and I mean, can you tell us about kind of the progress the receivers have made to this point from day one to, I think this is 12th practice maybe?
Correct, 12. One thing I give those guys credit for is understanding the terminology, spending time after hours, getting used to hearing certain calls, getting used to communication in the huddle. As far as what we're doing from a scheme standpoint, the guys kind of have an ideal of certain route concepts we run and certain blocking rules, just hearing new terminology for it. But the quarterbacks and doing a great job as far as the way they communicate with those guys, and those guys also doing a great job at the position as far as being locked into the details as far as trying to pick it up and play fast.
How important is that part of it, just because obviously a new offensive coordinator, new play calls, new maybe ideas and that type of
I mean, it won't operate without understanding the proper terminology. So those guys understand how crucial that is. It's just like offense that's running a no huddle offense with signals. So you got to pick up those signals. Here we're in the huddle, so we got to pick up the terminology in the huddle because it's crucial. There's crucial terms in there that's referring to certain receivers and certain guys on the field. So they're doing a great job with it. I like where we're at right now after day 12.
How similar is it? I mean, is it like learning a different language, or are there
just learning a different language?
Okay.
Learning different language, learning how we operate, and learning how we stress, how we over-stress finishing to the end, which is a great thing. That's going to help us win more games than we want to win, actually.
Stephen McBride has been a name we've heard a good bit in camp. Just maybe talk about what he's done to impress so far and what he brings to you.
The way he approached the game, I mean, immediately he can blow the roof off the coverage. One thing he does for those guys, he help out the team. He stretches the defense so everything opens underneath. He get one-on-one coverage. Quarterbacks do a good job of knowing their personnel. And see Steve out there, they're going to give him a shot. So right now we're trying to perfect our back shoulder throws, over the shoulder throws. So we're doing a good job with that. But that's what he brings to the table. He's great as far as complementing the route concepts that we're running, because he can push the ball downfield. And he does a great job as far as so far where we at in camp. He's not struggling at all. He knows all three spots of the wide receiver position. So I expect him to kind of make a name for himself in the Big 12 this year.
And I also wanted to ask you about Jason Dean, and just talking to him, he mentioned you as being such a big part of getting him here. What have you seen just in terms of his transition? Has it maybe been a little bit, maybe even harder than he thought it might be, coming in with so many new coaches and teammates, just kind of new everything?
No, he's adjusting well. When he first came, he was kind of quiet to himself a little bit, which that's the character of Jason, if you know about him from his days at Mansfield Lake Ridge back in Texas. That's his character, but he's doing a great job. The guys that transferred in from Buffalo, like your Richard, your Trevor Wilson, that was his roommates during the summer, so they made him feel more comfortable. Now I can hear Jason at times being vocal out on the field, stressing to the guys, let's go, giving direction to those guys. But one thing I tell you about him, though, pocket breakdown, he can go 90. We've seen that a couple times in the indoor facility.
What has this change and fresh start done to your veterans? I mean, from a mental state, a lot of those guys that have been here, not just at the wide receiver position, but throughout the team, didn't go as well as they had hoped the last few years, right? And have you seen the new start and the change kind of give them new life, and how have you helped pull them through that?
Exactly. It kind of goes back to things we used to talk about as a program during the spring. The spring just prepared us to accept what Coach Leipold is preaching to the program. And that's kind of one of the reasons where we're seeing the buy-in and we're seeing the progression throughout the whole program, because the small things that we stress here was kind of drilled in the spring, and now it's magnified times 20. Every stone will be turned here. We would not go by without checking every ounce of detail that will require us to be successful every day throughout practice.
I wanted to ask you about Kwame too. Coach K yesterday was talking about him, guy you can line up all over the field, guy who's taken on a real leadership role. Right. What have you seen from his development and growth just from last year to this year?
From a physical standpoint, he put on a few more pounds. He got stronger with Coach Steve in the weight room, playing more sudden, more quicker. I know he got to do a better job as being a threat and pushing the ball downfield. Got behind the coverage today. He's just so savvy, man. He's a route technician. He can run the whole route tree with perfection. The things he got to work on, like I say, is just showing that strength that he picked up this past weight room, as far as going in the box and digging those guys out. We asked those guys to be strong on the perimeter. He's taking pride in it. We started to look at blocking on the perimeter just like catching big passes, big touchdowns. So in our eyes, that's just as good as catching big pass downfield.
Sure, you know, we saw his numbers last year. Do you feel like he can be a number one type of guy? Those numbers say that, but is he that type of guy now?
You know, that room, no, I really don't talk about a number one. I talk about the room collectively. You know, it's easy to take a number one away. We're more about progression. We have progression reads here. So as long as we feel like we have the right guys in place throughout the progression, we'll be fine. But at times we have to single certain guys up. He's definitely one of those first guys you like to point at and you can trust to win versus any coverage against anybody that we manage.
What have you found out about Trevor Wilson, you know, since camp's open, and maybe his abilities and what he might bring to the field?
Trevor, extremely explosive. He's been a student of the game since he's been here. He's a fast learner, takes coaching well. I'm on him kind of tough at times, but he's so explosive. So right now he just don't know how good he can be after enhancing his technique, and that's some of the stuff that he's seeing on a day-to-day basis. The small things that separate his game so easy from the average wide receiver because he's so explosive. So right now he's relying just on his athletic ability. So what we talk about is combining good technique, good fundamentals with great athletic ability, and at times we see that from him. But he's like Kwame. He's a veteran. He's helping those young guys out there and staying positive around. He's competing hard every day. It's a great asset to have him here. Fortunate to coach him.